It is hot and it is muggy. Temperatures right around 90, although it feels closer to triple digits. There are some rain showers and potentially some lightning in the forecast for later tonight. Today's game being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. They did, of course, have that long hour and 10-minute delay due to lightning here at the end of that loss to the Rams last Sunday night. A game in which the Bucs came up just short. Broncos win the toss, they defer, and so the Bucs will receive. This will be only the third kickoff that Tampa Bay has brought out on a return so far this season, 15 yards. And they will have it right around the 25-yard line as Ryan Smith able to bring it out. So here comes Jameis Winston, first overall pick a year ago, threw 58 times in that loss to the Rams last week.
He can handle the offense, and he can handle going up-tempo. He reads defenses very well. Today, the key for Jameis Winston is going to be about protecting the football. You can't turn it over. Von Miller's coming with the pass rush, and the key to lead will steal the ball from any quarterback.
Winston, a Pro Bowl player as a rookie last season. 1st and 10 from their own 25. This is Charles Sims making his second straight start. Tackled on the play by Denver linebacker Brandon Marshall. How about the starters for the Bucs? Still missing a couple of key pieces. No Doug Martin. Joe Hawley, their center, who left the game briefly last week in the 4th quarter with an ankle. He is back and starting. And Charles Sims, second career start. 124 scrimmage yards and a touchdown in the loss at home here against LA last week. 2nd and 7 from around the 27. This is Sims again, as that Denver defensive front that has struggled against the run, surprisingly, is there to make the tackle. Derek Wolfe, the man who just made the stop, has been so good for Gary Kubiak, and this defense has accounted for at least a half sack in 10 of his last 13. How about Shane Ray? First career start last week, 3 sacks in that road win at Cincinnati. And Aqib Talib making his return to Tampa Bay, the former Buck, who entered the league as a first-round pick for this franchise back in 2008. 4.5 seasons here, making his emotional return. 3rd and 6, just inside the 29. Winston from the shotgun. Has time over the middle, and it is intercepted by Talib. All the way down to the 12-yard line, 23 yards on the return. And how about that homecoming for the former Buck?
Making his presence felt, introducing Jameis Winston to Aqib Talib, coming over the middle of the field. And there you see this pass. It's just overthrown. It was intended for his receiver, and Aqib Talib makes a better play on the ball than the intended receiver, Adam Humphries. Excellent ball skills has allowed him to be one of the top corners in the NFL, and he normally would take that one to the house for a touchdown.
At his 9th career pick 6 back in week 2. And what a moment for Talib, as we have some early fireworks already.
This is a 30-second timeout.
So quickly a timeout taken by the Bucs. So they're in all kinds of disarray here. Solomon at the start. We asked Talib about making his emotional return here, and he was ready for this moment clearly from the opening jump.
Well, here's Aqib Talib, and then Humphries is going to come across the field here. He's actually lined up on the inside of the slot. Now watch Aqib Talib. He's going to jump inside and become the robber, and that's what he does. And so because Humphries did not finish his route and did not see the ball come out of the hands of his quarterback, Jameis Winston, Aqib Talib, he saw the ball and made a great play on it.
That's the 7th interception that Jameis Winston has thrown in just over 3 games now, and the 9th turnover that he's responsible for already, most in the NFL. On 1st and 10, it is caught. Touchdown, Demaryius Thomas. And Denver wasting no time here in week 4.
Aqib Talib helping these Broncos to get off to a fast start. We talked to head coach Gary Kubiak about it yesterday. They normally do all their damage in the 4th quarter. They've gotten off to poor starts. They've been outscored in the first 3 quarters of games. But Simeon to Demaryius Thomas in the middle of that Tampa Bay zone creased them for a touchdown.
Well, those two hooked up for the 55-yard touchdown play late last week. That win in Cincinnati to put the game away. And they pick up right where they left off as Brandon McManus's point after is good. So the Broncos using the Talib pick, making his return to Tampa Bay. 7-0 Denver on CBS. Well, this basically has been the overlying theme for Tampa Bay. 9 turnovers, and Winston is accountable for all 9 of them.
Yeah. Points off turnovers can kill you.
Bucks will have it from the 25. New touchback rule. Ryan Smith takes a knee. What about some keys, Solomon? Already a 7-0 Denver lead.
Well, we said coming in, this was the key to the game. The Denver Broncos have to be able to run on the road. I think C.J. Anderson, Devontae Booker have to play a huge factor in today's game. And then Tampa Bay, you have to avoid sacks and turnovers. That means Von Miller's going to stalk you. Aqib Talib is going to stalk you. And they're going to set up the offense to make big plays.
So how does Winston bounce back after the early interception to Talib? 1st and 10 from the 25. Pitch play to Sims, who has been one of the more versatile running backs in the NFL, utilized so efficiently last season by Dirk Cutter, who was then the offensive coordinator for this team, tackled by Talib.
Oh, Aqib Talib and this Broncos defense. When we spoke with them yesterday, Spiro, just the team camaraderie, the way that they impact one another. A lot of them even point to Aqib Talib and Wade Phillips in terms of how well they play well with one another. Von Miller says he's even learned to study the playbook the way the guys in the secondary do.
On 2nd and 9, Winston from the gun goes up the seam and completes. That's the tight end, Cameron Brate. The 2 touchdown catches in the loss, 13 yards and a Tampa Bay 1st down.
Chris Harris Jr. is going to come off after this hit on Cameron Brate. There's a hit right there. Chris Harris Jr., he and Aqib Talib, I think, make up the best tandem of cornerbacks in the NFL.
Harris, a 2-time Pro Bowler, after coming into the league undrafted back in 2011. 1st and 10, Sims dances behind the line of scrimmage. And an impressive play just to get to the 40. Actually picks up about a yard on the play, tackled by Shane Ray. And what an impressive start, first start for Ray, the 2nd-year man, as they continue to look at Harris on the sideline.
And Shane Ray has gotten off to a good start without DeMarcus Ware giving them that other bookend opposite of Von Miller to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. And we all know pressure leads to picks.
Bradley Roby has come on for the moment, topping the screen for Chris Harris at the cornerback position on 2nd and 9. That pass high, and it is caught. What an effort by Mike Evans, the former 1st-round pick, as they go right at Harris's replacement, Roby, for 11 yards.
He is the #1 target for Jameis Winston, and look at that. Excellent hands to be able to stop the point of this ball right there with the one hand and pull it in for a reception. He has a touchdown in all 3 of their games this year, averaging over 100 yards receiving in those 3 games.
Evans part of that incredible 2014 wide receiver draft class. 4th in the league in catches, 5th in yards, and 2nd with those touchdown catches that Solomon points out. 1st and 10, Winston's going to take a shot up the far side of the field, trying to locate Evans, overthrows him. Coverage on the play by the All-Pro safety T.J. Ward. It'll be 2nd and 10.
These 2 quarterbacks taken in last year's draft, Spiro. Jameis Winston, we all know, was taken 1st overall out of Florida State. But Trevor Siemian, the last quarterback taken in the 2015 draft, 250th overall, took only 1 snap during his rookie season, and both guys are squaring off here today.
The juxtaposition between these 2, just incredible, as Winston deals with the incredible expectations you'd expect for a kid that was taken 1st overall. And you know, Winston had him at 6-6 last year, Solomon, before the bottom fell out, lost the final 4 games of the season. Lovie Smith fired. But he did turn in a Pro Bowl season and obviously showed the league that he is for real.
He's got a lot of promise, and Dirk Cutter is really just trying to taper the aggressiveness of Jameis Winston. He wants him to go out and play aggressive, but then also has to be cautious. You can't throw the ball into a crowd. You can't force it into coverage and throw interceptions.
Where does Winston go here on 3rd and 7? Hit on the release, and that pass is caught. Vincent Jackson 18 yards and a first down.
Good adjustment on the ball by Vincent Jackson. Thought the ball was underthrown a little bit. He was working over the middle of the field against TJ Ward to the left side of the screen. You see the stutter and go. Was able to get over the top, so it was really good ball placement while getting hit by Jameis Winston. Shane Ray applying the pressure.
Winston passes 5,000 career yards with that completion. 1st and 10. Quick drop, quick strike, incomplete. Intended for Freddie Martino, who made his Bucs debut in the loss last week, undrafted out of North Greenville. And you see Winston, second youngest player in league history to get to that 5,000 yard mark.
What did Gary Kubiak tell us about Winston? He could be a 5,000 yard passer in the 2016 season. That's how much he's throwing at 58 pass attempts 1 week ago against the Rams.
He had 52 a week before that. On 2nd and 10, this is Sims trying to get downhill, chopped down at around the 25-yard line for Tampa Bay. Tomorrow on CBS, the Geniuses are back. Don't miss the 2-hour season premiere of the hit drama Scorpion tomorrow at 9/8 Central, only CBS. What does Carter dial up here, Solomon, on 3rd and 7?
Well, I think Cameron Brate, he's been really good down inside the red zone. Had 2 touchdown receptions 1 week ago. You know the coverage is going to go to Mike Evans, so look for the tight end.
Here come the Broncos. Winston releases quickly. It is caught just shy of the 10, and that will be enough for a Tampa Bay first down. And the chemistry starting to pick up now between these two, Winston and Brate.
Cameron Brate, see, he's matched up against the safety, Darian Stewart. And Brate runs routes just as good as any wide receiver. You can go to him down inside the red zone. There you see, Jarrett Crick has been a huge sign for the Broncos in free agency. Didn't get there in time to prevent the completion.
11th play of the drive for Tampa Bay. 1st and 10 just outside the Denver 10. And we'll keep it on the ground. This is Sims showing that shiftiness, but this is an area where Gary Kubiak and this defense coached by Wade Phillips felt like they needed to improve. Solomon against the run after the first 3 weeks of the season.
As good as this Broncos defense has been under their coordinator Wade Phillips, they have not performed well in terms of stopping the run. They've not had the gap discipline, not been good even in the tackling portion of playing good defense. And then they've really struggled on 3rd down because they're not getting the stops on the early downs in the run game. So their entire defense will improve the better they can play the run.
You saw Doug Martin injured today, the Bucs' usual starting running back. So Denver catches a break in that category. Play clock down to 1. Winston doesn't recognize until it's too late.
Well, he's asking him that he didn't know if they had ever reset the clock.
And it looks like they did get the timeout.
Yes, second. This is a 30-second timeout.
So you can see Dirk Cutter as well as Jameis Winston, they're really upset with the officials. They were saying, hey, the clock never reset, so we didn't have the requisite time to get the play off.
Dirk Cutter promoted after just 1 season here as their offensive coordinator. The Idaho native, son of a coach. Really developed a strong chemistry and bond with Winston. Maybe the biggest reason why the Glazer family tapped him as their head coach after the firing of Lovie Smith.
But Dirk Cutter has done a fine job calling plays, whether he was in Atlanta with Matt Ryan, came here last year working with Jameis Winston during his rookie season. You saw the 4,000 yard passing season Winston had. You continue his growth and development within the same system with the same coach, and the sky is the limit for Winston.
Haven't had much continuity here in terms of coaches, certainly since the departure of John Gruden. After the timeout, they're down to their final timeout. And still in the first quarter, 2nd and 9. Winston gonna run it. Stumbles forward, penalty marker thrown just behind the line of scrimmage. Von Miller credited with the tackle.
Holding. Offense, number 69. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
That's DeMar Dotson, the 8th-year man and longest tenured Tampa Bay Buck.
Yeah, the right tackle working against Von Miller, putting that spin move on him. Got to grab him, or Miller's going to have himself a sack there. It was Von Miller who told us that Dotson was the best of the 2 tackles. Normally the better tackle would play on the left side. They line up Dotson on the right side, and Von Miller complimented DeMar Dotson by saying he was the better of the two.
Miller picked as the AFC's Defensive Player of the Month. Entered week 4 leading the league with 5 sacks. 2nd and 19. Winston slinging it over the middle. It's Brait again. They will mark it right around the 7. They pick up a dozen. It'll be 3rd down.
Now watch Von Miller. You know, he's pretty good in coverage, but when he has to cover Brait right here, take a look here. See, he didn't understand where his assignment was. He was chasing one tight end, 82, Brandon Myers, and allowed Brait to get open over the middle of the field. So that was a bust in his assignment. You know he's good at hunting quarterbacks, but still developing in that phase of his overall game.
Critical 3rd and 6. They need the 1 to get a fresh set of downs. Winston under duress, escapes into the end zone for the Tampa Bay touchdown.
This is a big-time play by a developing young quarterback. He's able to break tackles in that backfield, and he lost 8 pounds during the offseason, so he could be a little bit better at this, having nifty footwork, and when he has to make a play with his legs, he can get it done.
Well, that constitutes happiness for Dirk Cutter. That's about as much as you'll get. First rushing touchdown of the season for Jameis Winston, and what a drive. 13 plays, 75 yards, nearly 7 minutes, and exactly the kind of response that Bucs fans wanted to see after he threw that early pick.
Very good on 3rd down was Jameis Winston, and very good at working the tight ends over the middle of the field.
And now every scoring play subject to automatic review. Was Winston's knee down before the football broke the plane? They'll take another look. A Jameis Winston touchdown run under review. The question is, was his knee down before the football broke the plane? And this one is awfully close.
After reviewing the play, the rule on the field stands. That's called touchdown.
I don't know. Looked like that knee was down and there was contact made, but I understand that was Todd Davis who actually made contact with Winston. If you go back and you can see that. I'm not so sure that the ball crossed the line, but did we have clear, indisputable evidence to overturn it?
Point after attempts by the rookie and the young man they took in the 2nd round, Roberto Aguayo, the former Florida State star. All tied at 7. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Last month, the Buccaneers officially opened Glazer Family Field, a brand new synthetic turf youth football field at the Jackson Heights NFL Youth Education Town Center. NFL Play 60, the league's movement for a more active generation, encourages fans to get moving and play for 60 minutes every day. You can learn how. You can join the NFL Play 60 movement at NFL.com/Play60. So Jameis Winston gets the touchdown run, and we are all tied at 7. Good look at that impressive offensive possession by the Bucs. Spiro Ditas, Solomon Wilcots, our producer Ryan Galvin, Andy Goldberg, our director, rest of our CBS crew from Raymond James Stadium here in week 4. That one kicked through the back of the end zone as Cody Latimer watches it sail through, and Trevor Siemian, who once again is about 85 miles from where he grew up in Orlando, Windermere, Florida, playing in front of a number of family and friends. And this was not the moment and set of circumstances that I think anyone back home could have dreamt of before the season.
But he has lived up to the moment. You talk to the players and coaches, Trevor Siemian is a cool customer.
1st and 10, Siemian quickly able to get rid of the football and completes far side of the field to Emmanuel Sanders, a pickup of a dozen and a 1st down. How about the starters? Matt Paradis, the center, a year ago goes from their practice squad to a starter. He's been such a reliable cog for them. Demaryius Thomas already into the end zone today, had a 55-yarder last week. Their star and former 1st-round pick in his 7th NFL season. 1st and 10. Siemian again quickly deals and completes to Thomas just out past the 45. decent pickup on first down. How about the defensive starters for Tampa Bay? Devontae Lambert making a second consecutive start. Robert Ayers out with that ankle. Quan Alexander a week ago, first pick 6 of his career. Secondary has been a struggle till this point. Brent Grimes has been an NFL Pro Bowler back in his days in Miami, but has struggled so far this season on second and short. Simeon takes a shot, trying to find Sanders as that pass sails out of bounds, and he took a shot.
Yeah, he's going to take a hit right here. Look at that. That's Golston. William Golston comes in and put the lick on Simeon. Now he's facing a 3rd and 1. We talked about them needing to travel with the run game. If you're going to help a young quarterback play well on the road, you have to crank up the run game.
3rd and 1. Kubiak asking his run game to get him the first down, and they are short. C.J. Anderson brought down behind the line of scrimmage. It was Golston there, and a host of tacklers for Tampa Bay.
Now, we heard of when you blitz the quarterback, sometimes you got to blitz the run game as well, because you can get defenders in the gaps. You see Quan Alexander right there, middle linebacker. He was blitzing that A gap coming downhill to prevent the Broncos from getting that first down.
So Denver's drive stalls. Really surprising, an area where they've been very good. 3rd down so far this season, despite the inexperience of Simeon. Punt by Riley Dixon is caught by Adam Humphries, as we'll see Jameis Winston again when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Bud Light. Beer with your team on it.
Well, Trevor Simeon, Jameis Winston certainly came into the league on opposite ends of the NFL draft spectrum, but a lot of similarities, both accomplished baseball players. Winston during his time at Florida State. This is Charles Sims on first down, able to fight his way to the edge and picks up 6. Aqib Talib on the tackle, and this is the last thing they want to see. Already down Doug Martin as Sims limps to the sideline.
Yeah, no Doug Martin. He's out with the hamstring injury, and you can see it took a hit right there on that right knee from the helmet of Aqib Talib. Sims got off to a good start last week with over 100 yards from scrimmage.
So Jaquiz Rogers, the only other healthy back with any experience, will be called down here. This is Winston able to escape, getting away from trouble. A pickup of 8, forced out of bounds by Shane Ray as he runs for a Tampa Bay first down.
This is one thing Jameis Winston is very good at, recognizing and reading the blitz. They were coming right up the gut, right in his face, and he's just good enough, just athletic enough to save himself, get away from Shane Ray and company.
Simon, you talked about the weight that he lost, only about 8 pounds, but his body fat way down. He's moving better, and he showed very good escapability even last year as a rookie in that Pro Bowl season. This is Rodgers showing some burst, able to get close to the 40. Ward and Darian Stewart combining on a tackle, a pickup of 12 and another first down.
The only man smaller than Doug Martin on this team is Jaquiz Rogers, 5'7", 190 pounds. But he is a load, and boy is he quick when he gets out into space. If he can give them a spark in the run game, it'll do a lot for their passing game to get the ball outside on the perimeter.
It's only the 3rd game Rodgers has played for Tampa Bay. They signed him a couple of days after the opener. Play action from Winston on 1st and 10. Winston under duress, and that pass ruled incomplete. Pressure coming from the inside linebacker, Todd Davis. And they were coming with the heat.
You can see no one to get it to. Excellent job by Chris Harris Jr. working against Mike Evans, and then there's Davis. Todd Davis, the inside linebacker, is able to blitz. They're going to continue to come after Jameis Winston. Dirk Cutter and these Bucks may want to go to a short, quick passing game, forcing the receivers to create yards after the catch.
Ready. Blue ready. What's up?
2nd and 10. Rodgers blown up By that Denver front, Billy Wynn led the charge for the Broncos. They lose 3. It'll be 3rd down coming up.
Well, they run a nice little stunt. Now, watch Billy Wynn, number 97. He's going to come around here. And now watch him just get, see, he loops, stumps around, and knifes right in. Is able to create a tackle for a loss. So right now, Wade Phillips is getting creative to try to help that struggling Denver Broncos run defense to make plays.
Sims back onto the field after he limped off. As this play is whistled dead, 3rd and 12. Marker flies from
Before the snap.
Opposite side of the
All-star.
field.
Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's Donovan Smith, their 2nd-year left tackle.
Big 3rd down play here for Jameis Winston. Now you're facing 3rd 17. You may not be able to get it down the field unless they come after you and they give him those one-on-one looks to the outside. The key thing is avoid the turnover and allow your playmakers to make a play.
Winston on 3rd and 17 goes underneath, and they are gone backwards. Sims tackled right after he made the catch by Jared Crick. Another loss of a couple, and on 4th and 19, Tampa Bay forced the punt.
Jared Crick at that 5 technique in this 3-4 defense, brought in by Wade Phillips 1 year ago. He had coached Crick with the Houston Texans. They are already good with Derek Wolfe at 1-5 technique. You go out and get Crick, and I think this is the best pair of defensive tackles in a 3-4 scheme around the NFL.
The Broncos, of course, lost Malik Jackson to free agency. Jackson moving on to Jacksonville. There's Brian Anger, one of the top punters in the league a couple of weeks into the season. Booming kick, 54 yards. Jordan Norwood with the fair catch. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Cardinals tackle the Niners. Thursday Night Football on CBS, NFL Network, and Twitter. San Francisco up early in their game against Dallas as we take a look at the first couple of possessions for Gary Kubiak's offense.
Waits come off the turnover. They got the interception from Akeem Talib. Took one play to get it in for a touchdown. Now they're looking for big plays from these 2 receivers, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. They asked for the ball going into week 3 in Cincinnati. Now, I don't want to say they demanded it, but they strongly suggested that they get the ball, and boy, did they come through 1 week ago.
Simeon under center on 1st and 10. Good push from Tampa Bay. We asked Simeon about that, and he said that both guys middle of this week approached him in the locker room and said, look, hey, it wasn't you, Trevor. It wasn't about you. Rookie didn't fold, got him the football as each player had a long touchdown catch.
And I asked Emmanuel Sanders, I said, if I said that you and Demaryius Thomas were the best pair of wide receivers in the NFL, would that be an overstatement? He said, no, it would be a fact. Boy, was he something else when we met with him. He has tremendous confidence in himself and tremendous confidence in his teammates, including the young quarterback.
Here's Simeon on 2nd and 11. Lets her rip over the middle, and it is caught. That's the tight end, Jeff Hireman, former 3rd-round pick out of Ohio State. 19 yards and a Denver first down.
If there's one area where you said if this area of the football team improved, the tight end position with Harriman, with Phillips, and Virgil Green, I'm telling you right now, this offense is going to be a lot to deal with, and they are already good. But Hireman made a big play last week against the Bengals and starting to integrate himself into the offense.
No Virgil Green, still out with that calf injury. And some more opportunities for Hireman. Final play of the quarter. On 1st and 10, C.J. Anderson, who has been quiet till this point, a pickup of a couple. All tied at 7 as we reach the end of the first. We'll return to Tampa Bay after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Now, Denver has struggled with their run game, certainly last week. Just 52 yards in that road win in Cincinnati, and so far, more of the same. As this game tied at 7 as we begin the second quarter. 2nd and 8. Simeon initially escaped, but he's going down nonetheless. William Golston, Gerald McCoy giving chase for Tampa. A loss of 11.
Well, both receivers were going downfield. They were looking to make a play. One crossing there. And there you see Sanders trying to get it deep. They were covered. And so Simeon was forced to hold on to it. At any rate, William Golston beats the right tackle down Stevenson to come right around to get the sack.
And suddenly a nearly impossible 3rd and 19 for Denver. Simeon, the Florida native, trying to escape or throw on the run, and that pass incomplete. Nowhere to throw down the field for Simeon.
Noah Spence, boy, I tell you, he was shot out of a cannon coming off the right side of the Denver Broncos offensive line. Simeon had no time to even set up. Watch on the right side. Look, right in his face. Yeah, and there was Gerald McCoy also giving chase. Flushing him out of the pocket, forced to throw it away.
I don't know about McCoy, but this kid Noah Spence, the 39th overall pick in the draft, and played sparingly through the first 3 weeks. It's a couple of more plays like that, and he'll certainly get the attention of his head coach. This one will be played by Humphreys, showing some shiftiness up the sideline. 57 yards on the punt by Dixon, 8 on the return from Humphreys on CBS. Well, Dirk Cutter's offense has settled down after that interception thrown by Winston on their first possession. Had a touchdown in that long drive and then the punt. As they have it, just a minute gone by, second quarter from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Where the temperatures have cooled considerably over the last 45 minutes. Winston from the gun on 1st and 10. And that pass came out awkwardly and falls incomplete. Coming up tonight on CBS, it's the most powerful season premiere of Madam Secretary. Taya Leone stars in the hit drama tonight after NCIS Los Angeles, only CBS. Zalman, they were so pass heavy through the first 3 weeks, but a much better balance so far in this first half.
Yeah, but you can see the balance now. 12 run plays, 11 pass plays. Dirk Cutter talked about it. Ideally, 30 runs, 35 passes by the time you're playing average of 65 snaps a game.
Where do they go here on 2nd and 10? Sims just can't find any daylight. Trying to keep that pile moving. It'll officially be right back to the line of scrimmage, so no loss on the play. And now Cutter has to get creative with a 3rd and 10 coming up.
And you can see they came out and they threw it on 1st down, ran it on 2nd, trying to create a manageable 3rd down for Jameis Winston. Dirk Cutter told us that this defense, they want to get a big lead on you and then come chase the quarterback with the likes of Von Miller and Shane Ray.
On 3rd and 10, Winston into it, and it's picked off by Talib again. 2nd interception by the former Buck. And we are still early in the 2nd.
He had better option. He forced this ball into coverage, did Jameis Winston. And Aqib Talib made him pay for it. And if we go ahead and roll it, we're going to show you exactly what he turned down. And this is the key, okay? You're going to see the running back here come wide open. Why drive the ball down the field into coverage? See, right there, you got to take that throw instead of throwing it into coverage, because we know Aqib Talib's been known to bait the quarterback. He baited Jameis Winston on that play, and Jameis took the bait.
Look to be some movement pre-snap. We'll see if that's against Okung on the left side of that Denver offensive line.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
First penalty called against the Broncos in this first half.
How about Aqib Talib? Wow. You know, Jameis Winston, we talked about this with Dirk Cutter. We talked about how aggressive he is as a young quarterback. Said, you don't have to tell him to be aggressive.
On 1st and 15, Simeon's pass high, and it is caught. Dazzling catch by Demaryius Thomas. Comes up a little bit hobbled. We know he had that hip injury early in their opener in week 1, 17 yards and a 1st down.
He'll go up and get it. There you see the hit. Vernon Hargraves, the rookie, knocking the legs out from up under Demaryius Thomas. Thomas went up, pulled it in for his young quarterback.
Thomas earlier in the first half as they work on that hip. Moving into 3rd place on Denver's all-time career receiving yards list as he passed Lionel Thomas. On 1st and 10, Simeon going end zone, and it is too high and incomplete. Now late flag. Jordan Taylor, who had come on for Thomas, covered on the play by Chris Conti.
It's a matchup they like. Get a receiver against a
Pass
safety.
interference. Defense, number 23. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball be placed to the 1 yard line. First down.
Chris Conti in coverage. You'll see at the top of the route. And that's where you got to play coverage with your feet, not your hands. But you can see the grab right there. I thought that ball was thrown very high. you know,
that really is the question.
Was it a high throw?
How catchable a pass was it? Injured Buck is their all-pro defensive tackle, Gerald McCoy. We know had to suffer through a number of injuries last year. And there is Aqib Talib, who took his little curtain call as he came off the field, as brash and as confident a defensive player as there is in the NFL. So now they continue to look at McCoy. It appears to be the left foot. We'll take a timeout. Oh, this was Gerald McCoy coming off the field during that timeout. So when you see him start to walk and then kind of buckled on that left leg.
Yeah, he started holding his left calf.
Get you an update as quickly as we can. 1st and goal, Simeon play action, looking end zone, throwing end zone, and it is incomplete. 2 markers come in at the end of the play. John Phillips, the tight end, was the intended receiver. And Bradley McDougald was there on the coverage.
Pass interference. Defense, number 30. The foul occurred in the end zone. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
When you play against, you can see the hold right there. When you play against this Broncos offense, you have to be disciplined with your eyes. If you get your eyes looking into the backfield, these tight ends, they'll run right by you. It's designed by Gary Kubiak to hit that hard play fake. You go biting up, tight ends will get behind you.
So Tampa Bay with its best defensive lineman on the sideline, and Denver able to capitalize. C.J. Anderson in for the touchdown. So the second pick by Talib on the afternoon is capitalized on by Denver. Anderson with a 16th rushing touchdown of his career.
We told you that they had to run on the road, get down inside the red zone around that goal line. You got to be able to power it in with the run game. Aqib Talib setting up this offense to score off both turnovers. He's coming up with the picks, and the offense are cashing it in to touchdowns.
Keep in mind, Talib had 3 picks all of last season. He now has 3. And we are still in week 4. What a homecoming for Aqib Talib. Picks off Winston for the 2nd time in this first half. And then C.J. Anderson waltzes into the end zone for Denver. Week 4 continues with Sunday Night Football on NBC. Monday Night Football coming up on ESPN. And then Week 5 kicks off with Thursday Night Football. Arizona, San Francisco, CBS NFL Network, and streaming on Twitter. That kick was short, fielded by Ryan Smith. And we've seen a lot of that kind of strategy from teams around the NFL as Aqib Talib comes back onto the field. And I don't think even he could have dreamt of this kind of start back in Tampa Bay.
But he talked about it. He is one of the more fearless cornerbacks in the National Football League. It never enters his mind what happens if I get beat. He said, man, I'm too busy trying to read route combinations, trying to figure out where they're going with the ball. I think he plays with a great deal of courage. He studies the opponent more than what anyone would ever believe, and it allows him to be able to anticipate and make the big play.
So here's Winston now. To wonder where he is psychologically. A couple of first half picks. 1st and 10. Winston throws and completes. That's Evans making the catch. So a good play. They pick up 11 and a first down. We asked Talib about what his time was like here, first 4.5 years of his career, and he said, look, we were some sorry teams, but we had fun. It was a bunch of young guys, and just kind of came of age, and he's a different player and different man now, isn't he?
Said he learned a lot from Rondé Barber, former great cornerback here at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Grew into what he called a professional football player.
On 1st and 10, pitch to Rodgers, trying to find the edge. Good defensive work by the Broncos. Shaquille Barrett was there for the tackle. Oh, what a career it's been for Talib and 1 first down.
Oh, talk about great instincts and anticipation. The ability to read the quarterback and understand what he wants to do, undercutting routes at the point of intercept and making the young quarterback, Jameis Winston, pay for making mistakes.
Injured Buck is Brandon Myers, their tight end. Well, keep in mind they're already short. Luke Stocker, who was listed as their starter after the departure of Austin Seferian-Jenkins. And the update now on Gerald McCoy is a calf injury. His return is doubtful. So the injury news gets even worse for Tampa Bay, as now Myers has to be helped to the sideline.
They're low on tight ends. Luke Stocker is already out, and they had to cut Austin Seferian-Jenkins, a tight end, over a week ago. So it's a huge loss if Myers can't make it back.
So now Cameron Brate will come back onto the field. Alan Cross, their only other healthy tight end. Cross made his NFL debut last week. And we'll get an update on Myers as soon as we hear something from the Bucs. So 14-7 Denver. Winston under center on 2nd and 10 from inside their own 30. Winston under pressure, and he is sacked. Sylvester Williams getting him around the ankles.
So far, this defensive line, Spiro, is making a lot of plays against Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. Look at him. He's just knifing in, crawling, trying to get to the quarterback, and there you see. Hit low, but he was already on the ground. Look, Jameis Winston's been under a lot of pressure. 16 dropbacks, sacked once, been hurried 8 times and knocked down 5 times, getting the jersey dirty.
Third most quarterbacks hits he has taken entering week 4, according to Pro Football Focus. Here he is on 3rd and 17, going up the sideline, intended for Evans. A couple of late markers come in. Will Parks, the safety, was there.
Pass interference. Defense, number 34. Fire the foul, automatic. First down.
Now watch Parks. He gets there in time. Now you have to avoid the contact and play the ball. You know, we talk about playing the ball instead of the man. He had an excellent break. He had a poor angle and went through the receiver before the ball arrived. If he times that up, he might even be able to get an interception there.
Parks, the rookie 6th round pick out of Arizona, who had the game-sealing INT last week. So that turns into a 24-yard penalty and gives the Bucs a 1st and 10. Winston has time, goes deep down the near side. It's incomplete. You see the shadows that Vincent Jackson had to deal with down the sideline. Darian Stewart was there on the coverage.
We talked about staying balanced, talking about the running game helping Jameis Winston on those early downs, 1st and 2nd down, to create manageable 3rd downs against the Denver Broncos defense that's given up a lot of 3rd down plays. See if they run it here, but either way, they've got to put themselves in a much more manageable 3rd down situation. I expect them to run it here or go play action pass.
And you see the great balanced play calling to this point by Cutter on 2nd and 10. This is Jaquiz Rogers, a 60-year runner. Again, only his 3rd appearance with Tampa Bay. Former 5th round pick of Atlanta, 4 seasons with the Falcons to begin his career. Last season, just 5 games played in Chicago before the Bears had to put him on IR.
Oh, he's a capable player. Now, you don't want him to be your primary guy down in and down out, but to supplement the running game like what you see here and set up what should be a manageable 3rd down situation for Jameis Winston.
Again, no Doug Martin for Tampa Bay. Still out with that hamstring injury. Again, movement pre-snap appeared to be Dotson.
False start. Offense, number 69. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Oh, Dotson, they're at home. Okay, and there's not a lot of crowd noise. But when you line up across from Von Miller and company, tend to get a little jumpy. And now he puts them in that 3rd and 8 situation where Von Miller and Shane Ray can pin their ears back and come after Jameis Winston.
2nd false start on Dotson in his 1st half. Little delayed handoff. This is Rodgers. Another late flag comes in behind the play as Rodgers has the first down run, but now we await the penalty as Rodgers picks up 15.
Offense, number 68, 10-yard penalty, replay, third down.
Killer, and that's Joe Hawley, their center.
Yeah, that's a backbreaker because it was a great play call by Dirk Cutter. They set him up nicely, but watch 68. There's Hawley right there in the center. Oh, yep, little grab. That's grab, a hold down, and a takedown. He caught it.
Also a Tampa Bay franchise that has not had a winning season since 2009. Hasn't made the playoffs since 07, and it's those kinds of mistakes that come back to bite you year in and year out. 3rd and 15. Winston goes underneath. This is Brait, the tight end, but the penalties just killed him. Harris and Roby combine on the tackle for Denver.
Oh, just penalties killed the drive. Penalties on 2 consecutive plays had the offense moving backwards, where they had converted the first down on the run by Rodgers.
So Brian Anger on to punt, 3rd in the league in net punt average till this point. Has been very good at angling punts and downing punts inside his opponent's 20. Jordan Norwood signals fair catch. And Denver will have it just outside their own 15 when we come back on CBS. Well, at the end of April, it was announced that Pat Bowlen, who had spent 30 years as the Broncos owner, had been dealing with Alzheimer's disease, and that he had relinquished control of the team. Team ownership placed in the Pat Bowlen Trust, which is controlled by non-family members, and such a beloved member, certainly this franchise and the community for so many years. I wish him and his family the best. 14-7 Denver. And suddenly flags flying from all over the place. And this one against the Broncos.
Holding, offense, number 61. After distance to the goal, replay, first down.
It's Matt Paradis, their center, former 6th-round pick out of Boise State. As we take a look at their first half possessions.
Yeah, you can see they've been able to score, and it's been set up by the defense and creating those turnovers. 1-play drive and a 2-play drive after the interceptions from Akeem Talib.
On 1st and 18 after the penalty, Simeon is wrapped up and brought down. Clinton McDonald and Akeem Spence able to bring down the Florida native.
This Buccaneer defense is getting after him. Mike Smith, their defense coordinator, has gotten his guys going. This is now their 4th game in his defensive scheme. They had given up 35 or more points in each of the last 2 ball games, but they've tightened up. They've given up scores, but only when the Broncos have had a short field to work with.
You see Mike Smith, first season as Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator, trying to ratchet up the pressure. Here's Simeon, the 7th rounder, hands off to Anderson, trying to break that initial tackle, but was able to get to the 10. Quan Alexander on the tackle, a pickup of only 2. It'll be 3rd down coming up.
Critical 3rd down. Now, if you're the Bucs, do you come after Trevor Simeon? All the numbers show that he has been very good. His passer rating's been very good when you blitz him. And I think sometimes it's good with young quarterbacks to only rush 3, drop 8 in coverage, play the sticks on 3rd and 17. No sense in coming after the quarterback and busting coverage on the back end.
Simeon on 3rd and 17, little delayed handoff to Anderson. Able to leapfrog a defender, tripped up though at the 22, a pickup of a dozen. Denver needed the 27, they're short. As Bradley McDougall, their safety for Tampa, there on the stop.
Sometimes fans don't like it on 3rd very long when they run that draw play. But every now and then it pops, just like that one did. You only needed maybe a few more yards to hit the first down marker.
So C.J. Anderson, who struggled last week, 37 yards in that road win at Cincinnati today. 7 carries, 17 yards. Couldn't have expected much there. This is Humphries. able to get inside Denver territory. Nifty return on the punt. 15 yards. And Winston in business when we come back. How about Jameis Winston so far in this first half? 2 picks. Looked awfully shaky early on as Talib has had his number.
You know, and Dirk Cutter talked about it. Said he's naturally aggressive, but that could be good and bad. You could see he's been hit, hurried, and harassed. But there's been times where he's had plenty of time and he's thrown the interceptions. Trevor Siemian taking better care of the football. 5 of 7, very efficient. Not creating a lot of big plays, but when they get into scoring range, he's sticking it into the end zone.
Haven't seen much of Siemian.
Ready.
He's been on that sideline a good percentage of his first half. Very economical to this point on 1st and 10. Excellent field position to begin the drive for Tampa Bay. As Charles Sims, who limped off earlier with a minimal pickup of a yard. I'll be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today. Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay, Florida. Spiro Dita, Solomon Wilcots. Week 4 between the defending champion Broncos and Tampa Bay. Looking for their 2nd win of the season at 1-2. Winston under pressure, off the play action, escapes the sack. He's going to take his shot. Deep down the field towards the end zone, incomplete. Off the hands of Mike Evans, it was Talib and Ward, a couple of all-pro defensive backs on the coverage.
It was play action, and they're trying to run deep, but first you got to protect because Jameis Winston was left naked. Look, you're going to get pressure here. Now you're going to get Evans coming down the field, but watch the pressure on Winston when he turns around. Look, there's Ray right in his face. As he comes around, he's able to elude him and then buy a little bit more time. He throws it up and then takes a lick from Shane Ray.
Ray last week, first NFL player in 14 years with 3 sacks in his first career start.
How about
Tampa Bay forced to burn another timeout, and all 3 of them have come when they have just looked disorganized in this first half.
The crowd was not happy, Spiro, because they saw on the big board the hit on their quarterback. Dirk Cutter was even upset about the hit on the quarterback because the quarterback, when throwing, is afforded extra protection. Can't take a hit to the head, neck, or shoulder area, and that appeared to be in the head, neck, shoulder area to me while in the act of throwing.
We've seen that flag come on those kinds of plays with less than that. And so Denver catches a break. Keep in mind, the league could go back and look at that after games, even if a penalty was not called in the play, and assess a fine potentially, maybe even more. And you can bet that's a play that they'll take a look at with Dean Blandino this week. Here's Winston from the gun on 3rd and 9. Fires over the middle, and it is caught. That's Jackson right at the 40 and right at the first down marker. 13 yards and a Tampa Bay first down.
Now watch this laser. This is tight coverage. That's 3 defenders in that area. And Jameis Winston is able to squeeze it in there in front of Roby. Jackson holds on to it. But there were 3 defenders, a triangle of defenders closing in on Jackson. Winston was able to hammer it home for a first down. That's where his aggressive nature tends to pay off.
See Winston's numbers so far. 1st and 10, little short throw again, right into the shadows, dangerously thrown by Winston. It was deflected by Shaquille Barrett. And it will be 2nd and 10.
So many talented players on this defense. Shane Ray and Shaquille Barrett, his 3rd year out of Colorado State, he's turned into a pretty good player. Winston's got to be careful.
You know, we asked Winston about this Denver defense and preparing, and he said, you know, they don't do anything exotic in terms of kind of covering up their looks. They're just so good at what they do. And that's something he's contended with in his first half. With the late handoff to Sims on 2nd and 10 as he gets close to the Denver 30, a pickup of 5, tackled by Marshall.
Now you get to 3rd and 5. Got to keep this drive alive. Jameis Winston has been good at moving the ball against this offense, against this Denver Broncos defense when he's not turning it over. So they're creating a balanced attack. As you can see, 18 run plays, 19 pass plays. Dirk Cutter trying to keep his young quarterback in phase.
Again, the Bucs are out of timeouts. 3rd and 5. Winston's pass over the shoulder and incomplete. Great. Trying to make what would have been a very difficult catch.
Outside. Defense, number 58. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's Von Miller.
Bottom of your screen. A little hard count. So quick. He got to that neutral zone and he's destroying both of these tackles. To prepare these tackles this week and the tight ends to help with the speed and quickness they could expect from Von Miller, they would have the show team, the edge rusher, line up in the neutral zone just so these tackles could get a real glimpse of just how fast Von Miller is at coming off the ball.
Ready.
10 sacks for Miller in his last 5 games. 3rd and short. On the ground, Sims is met. Then the football comes loose. Denver has it. It's recovered by Billy Wynn. 3rd turnover committed by the Bucs.
Von Miller sniping in. You're going to see him right here. Look at that. He's able to get in. They come in off both sides. It was Von Miller as well as number 48, Shaquille Barrett. And then the ball pops up. It's going to be recovered by Billy Wynn. DJ Ward's in there. They had a meeting in the backfield of the Buccaneers forcing that turnover.
This has been a playmaking defense under Wade Phillips. And a defense that strives for perfection. They got together for a late night film session upon arriving from Cincinnati late last Sunday night to make sure they were ready for the Bucs here today. 1st and 10. Simeon under center. Play action. Set. 3rd time they've gotten to Simeon. It's Clinton McDonald getting there for Tampa Bay.
3 sacks. They're getting to the quarterback. You can see right there. Yeah, Thomas open. Protection didn't hold up long enough for Simeon to get a clear view down the field as he was taken down on the play.
1st sack of the season for McDonald, the 8th-year man out of Memphis. This is what Simeon has done under pressure so far. 2nd and 18. This is Devontae Booker. Nearly going head over heels. The 4th round pick out of Utah. Nice run of 11. And that'll set up a 3rd down coming up.
Booker's an impressive looking running back out of Utah. The rookie knows how to finish off runs. Combine him with C.J. Anderson. Have yourself 2 talented running backs who really do fit the system very well.
Broncos don't have to run a play here. Have all 3 timeouts. As that'll take us to the 2-minute warning here at Raymond James Stadium. 14-7 Broncos on CBS. Trevor Simeon being looked at on the Denver sideline, and they're looking at the right collarbone area as he was slammed to the turf, making the left side as you see the replay.
Yeah, he was slammed onto that left side by Clinton McDonald. And now in comes Paxton Lynch.
The young man they drafted 26th overall, and what a spot for him. First NFL snap on 3rd and 7. It's incomplete. Intended for Benny Fowler, the 2nd-year receiver out of Michigan State. And on 4th and 7, they will punt. As you see Simeon being carted into the Denver locker room.
How about that? Paxton Lynch, they let him throw it on his very first play of his NFL career. And that's not a good sight to see Trevor Simeon, who's gotten off to such a good start to his career, causing huge concern upstairs and with everyone with these Denver Broncos.
Well, this suddenly got awfully interesting and a lot to talk about for that Denver offense at halftime. On 4th and 7, Dixon on to punt. Now the flag comes in. Norwood. Humphreys signaling fair catch for Tampa Bay. 47 yards on the punt, and you wonder what's going through the mind of Lynch as they regroup down on the field for Denver.
illegal formation on the kicking team. There were only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Tampa has elected to have the 5-yard penalty added to the end of the kick. First down, Tampa Bay.
Reminder coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB and the fellas standing by in New York. Get you caught up around the NFL here in week 4, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. It's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
You just asked what's going through the mind of Paxton Lynch. Every time we talk to young quarterbacks and they get their opportunity, what do they say, Spiro, particularly when they've been successful? I've always prepared like I was going to be the guy, like I was going to get the start, or my name would be called upon. We're going to find out if he's been studying and putting in the work. It really does help when you can read and recognize, helps you to be able to make plays.
Again, the left shoulder of Simeon that they're looking at in that Denver locker room as Winston's pass on 1st and 10 intended for Adam Humphries is incomplete. Tampa Bay trying to work the 2-minute offense here without any timeouts.
Yeah, let's see if they can get themselves down the field. It all starts with creating a big play. Remember, we told you Winston's been very good. Of the 6 interceptions he's thrown coming into today's game, all of them were thrown when the defense wasn't blitzing. So when they're sitting back in coverage, thinks he has time, and he forces it into coverage.
He's thrown 2 picks today. Quick strike to Vincent Jackson, forced out of bounds by Talib. A pickup of 6. And now 3rd and 4 coming up.
Really does start with creating a big play. The final 2 minutes, being able to get the ball down the field. Their best receiver going down the field has to be Mike Evans. He's been the most targeted of the Tampa Bay receivers.
Evans only 2 catches for 22 yards in his first half. Here come the Broncos on 3rd and 4, giving chase. Winston able to get out of the tackle box and just throw it towards the turf. It was Von Miller applying the pressure.
Makes it really tough to throw the ball down the field. That right foot up for Von Miller. That means he's coming. They tried to chip him with Jaquez Rogers. It still didn't keep him from getting to the quarterback, nipping at the heels of Jameis Winston.
We asked Von about Jameis, and Von told us about a little moment they had together when he first met him at an awards show out in LA a couple of years ago. And Jameis was still in college at the time, and Von said, boy, it's going to be really easy to sack you once you get to the league. And he said Jameis didn't back down and instantly had respect for the young kid. It's able to get to Winston on that play. Here's Norwood out past to the 30. A return of 11 after a 52-yard punt from Enger. Another reminder, the Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by in New York. We'll preview Thursday Night Football, CBS NFL Network on the Verizon halftime report coming up next. So, Salman, what do you do here if you're Gary Kubiak? Do you allow Lynch to take a couple of shots, or you just lick your wounds and go into the locker room?
Remember, we already said that one of the keys to the game, particularly for the Denver Broncos, is you got to be able to run on the road. I think you've got to crank up the run game, lean on the offensive line, lean on the talented running backs on this roster.
Lynch from the gun, going to throw it on 1st and 10 over the middle and completes. That's Norwood, the 7th-year receiver. Denver still with all 3 timeouts as they pick up 4.
How about this? They're going to allow him to operate in the 2-minute offense.
2nd and 6. Lynch slinging it and completes. That's Sanders inside Tampa territory. 16 more yards and a Broncos first down.
Couple of easy completions. Now Paxton Lynch feeling pretty comfortable, throwing the ball in good rhythm and in good tempo, reading the combination route, read the coverage well here, getting the ball to Sanders.
So now Denver will burn its first timeout. And a good start for Paxton Lynch, a young man whom John Elway drafted as the eventual heir apparent. Wanted to try to keep him on ice, let him develop through his rookie season, and now suddenly thrust into his first NFL game experience here in week 4.
Played in that spread style system at Memphis. Did not take a lot of snaps under the center, and that's why you see him now playing in the shotgun. They're allowing him to do what he's most comfortable with.
First and 10. Lynch flushed out. Gonna run it. Shows that mobility. Able to run out of bounds and stop the clock with 45 seconds left. And still a couple of timeouts left in his back pocket.
And you mentioned it, Spiro. He is very athletic, very mobile for a quarterback. He's 6'7", 245, but highly athletic, very strong arm. Won a lot of games at Memphis. He was able to do what you want to see a young quarterback do in their senior campaign. Lift the organization, win for their school, and now he's got to be able to hit the ground running here on the road in his very first NFL action.
Lynch again under pressure, going to throw off balance, and that pass is incomplete. It was Levante David coming with the pressure. And now 3rd and 10 coming up.
That was a smart play. He was able to get out of the pocket. He knew he could just throw the ball right into the ground at the feet of the intended receiver just to get rid of it. Was able to avoid the disastrous play. Was able to avoid the sack or the interception. Now on 3rd and 10, he let him cut it loose. I think if you come after him and give him a one-on-one look, he'll find the receiver, cut it loose and let it fly.
Anderson, the launch setback. Lynch pump fakes, throws and completes. Sanders inside the Bucks 30. David on the tackle. And now Gary Kubiak calls his second timeout. 18 yards and a Broncos first down.
He is seeing the coverage very well. Again, combination route, the out and up by Sanders. He read the linebacker and he was able to stick that one right in the window. Levante David went wide. It allows Sanders to creep around and get inside. We'll see the vision there. Pump fake. That's what lured Levante David out of position. So right now, Paxton Lynch in that shotgun formation, he's getting that comfortable feeling for Gary Kubiak, and he is finding the receiver.
Lynch starred at Memphis. Was a high school star at Trinity Christian Academy about 100 miles from here in Deltona, Florida. What a moment for him. 1st and 10, his first taste of the NFL regular season. Slinging it up the seam, and it is incomplete. Again, tough to make those catches as you work through the sun and shadows. Benny Fowler, the intended receiver. 2nd and 10.
This is a nice throw, Spiro. Look at this. Look at that, right in the mitts. That ball should have been caught. Yeah, he had a defender climbing on him, but it hit Fowler right in the hands. Good throw by Paxton Lynch.
All pass on this drive. Lynch again from the gun on 2nd and 10. Quick strike, completes right at the 20. That's Sanders again. A pickup of 10. And they are right at that first down marker. Clock continuing to run here.
Go ahead and use the timeout. You got to use it even much faster than that. You can see Kubiak saying, come on over, let's talk about it. Because you're with 14 seconds, you may be able to get 2 shots into the end zone here.
And Salma, such a difficult kind of set of circumstances for Lynch. You don't get many reps when you're the backup during the week. Doesn't have any experience to fall back on here, of course, as a rookie. But so far has acquitted himself quite well as he faces a 3rd and 1.
But normally in Gary Kubiak's offense, the quarterback operates under the center. A lot of the pass routes are timed up with a 3, 5, 7-step drop to work in coordination with the quarterback's footwork. But with a young quarterback like Paxton Lynch, Gary Kubiak says, let's just put him in a position that we know he's comfortable. It's what he did in college, operate out of the shotgun, and that's what you see him working with here.
3rd and 1. Broncos out of timeouts. Lynch pump fakes, throwing end zone, batted down and incomplete.
He took a shot into the end zone. It looked like it was Brent Grimes who came over to break it up. Right there. But it's still, even with the incompletion, it leaves you just enough time. But no, they're going to go ahead and line up and take field goal.
So Brandon McManus on to attempt what will be a 38-yard attempt. McManus, a little shaky start to his season, missed a field goal attempt back in the preseason, missed a couple of them, and this time he is good.
Yeah,
so Denver builds on their lead. Sorry, Solomon, up to a 10-point advantage.
Well, I thought with 9 seconds you had enough time to take a shot. Now it has to either be caught in the end zone or an incompleted pass in order to stop it, stop the clock with no timeouts. Gary Kubiak says, you know what, I'm not playing with Simeon. I don't know if I'm going to get him back, and we may have to play with our rookie quarterback in the second half. Let's go ahead and come away with points in this situation. Or maybe they run the ball or allow Paxton Lynch to operate out of the shotgun.
Well, this was the injury, if you've just joined us, to Trevor Simeon, their second-year quarterback, making only his 4th career start. See him slammed to the turf right on that left shoulder by Quinton McDonald. And that is 297 pounds coming down on Simeon's shoulder.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate, too, because Trevor Simeon was playing so well. And you talk about young quarterbacks paying attention in the meeting rooms during the week and putting in that critical time of studying the opponents. You see Gary Kubiak's going to get him coached up. That's the quarterback coach, Greg Knapp, also coaching him up, getting him ready.
A kick to the back of the end zone. And so Jameis Winston will presumably just come out, take a knee here with 5 seconds left. And if you're Tampa Bay and Dirk Cutter, you just talk about the turnover, Solomon. They had that impressive drive early to get into the end zone, and then they were driving on that last possession before they coughed it up, turned it over for the 3rd time in the first half.
Turnovers have been costly. 2 interceptions, the fumbles. Denver has turned them all into points.
Aqib Talib, a couple of picks in his return to Tampa Bay against his former team. As that brings us to halftime here at Raymond James Stadium. Simeon's injury and a lot to talk about for both teams at halftime. 17-7 Denver. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. About ready for the start of the 3rd quarter. 17-7, the defending champions up over Tampa as we get ready for the second half. Let's take a look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV, and it basically all comes down to this play in terms of the rest of the game. Now Trevor Simeon slammed to the turf, comes down on that left shoulder as McDonald slams him down, all 300 pounds of him. Simeon left the game late. Paxton Lynch, their 1st-round pick, came on in relief. Still no official word on whether Simeon will return. He is questionable. As we welcome you back to Raymond James, Spiro Dita, Solomon Wilcots. Everything kind of changes, at least for the moment, if you're Gary Kubiak in that locker room.
Yeah, Paxton Lynch, we saw him working out of the shotgun, and that's because Gary Kubiak knows that's something he was accustomed to doing when he was at Memphis playing during his college career. Now, remember, the Denver Broncos still want to run the football, and all of the run plays come normally with the quarterback operating under center. That's what we saw with Trevor Simeon, is coordinating the passing game as well. And so if you're going to allow Paxton Lynch to operate out of the shotgun and get comfortable, which I think they should do, how does that work with your run game? Because you're still going to have to be able to have some balance running the football and throwing it, and not really show the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that you intend to run it as soon as Paxton Lynch comes under center.
And Denver, as you see Winston's numbers, Broncos in the first half rushed for only 28 yards. And keep in mind they struggled last week. And so they will need some ground support now to help Paxton Lynch, their 1st-round pick out of Memphis. So Denver will have the football to begin the half. As we saw just a little bit of Lynch right at the end of the first half, but all things considered, Solomon looked pretty good on some of his throws.
Yeah, he was very comfortable. We talked about it. Operating out of the shotgun, was in sync and in rhythm. I thought he did a good job of reading what the coverage gave him. He was really good at his progression, went to the open receiver, and then showed good arm strength and accuracy getting the ball to his receiver. And there you see Trevor Simeon's back out, but wearing the baseball cap.
Broncos have told us that the plan for now is to keep Lynch in the game. Simeon would be available if needed. So that is the latest we have been told by Denver. So there is Simeon as McDonald makes the tackle. And things getting a whole lot more interesting now for the Denver Broncos, who come in at 3-0. Perfect start to their title defense season. Simeon had been the story, his Cinderella start through the first 3 weeks, and now suddenly Paxton Lynch, whom Denver traded up 5 slots to take, 26th overall. And his first taste of the NFL on 2nd and 10, completes off the seam to Demaryius Thomas right at the 40. They pick up 15 and a first down.
Now that was Paxton Lynch working under center. Watch the footwork. As soon as he hits the top of this drop, the ball's got to come out right there. And so you can see he's working in sync and in rhythm. The routes the receivers are running are coordinated with the timing and the drop of the quarterback in Gary Kubiak's system. And so he's got to be able to operate under center. And that allows him to be able to run the ball with great consistency.
Saw Thomas again hobble off the field. We saw that in the first half. Keep in mind he's got that hip injury. As Lynch throws off the sideline, incomplete, intended for Latimer. As we take a look at the Broncos' possessions in the first half.
Oh, there you see it. The touchdowns came immediately after Aqib Talib got the interceptions, 2 of them in the first half, and put them in great field position. 1 play drive and then a 2-play drive, and Trevor Siemian was able to stick it into the end zone.
Sanders in motion on 2nd and 10. This is Anderson. Good looking run. One of the best spurts we've seen from him as they pick up 9, very close to midfield. Salman, what about some second half adjustments?
Well, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, let's start with Denver first. Lynch in the shotgun. I mean, when he's got to throw it, I think you allow him to be comfortable doing that. And then for Tampa Bay, protect your quarterback and protect the football. Jameis Winston was sacked 3 times in the first half, and also they turned it over 3 times. 2 interceptions and 1 fumble.
3rd and 1, just shy of the 50. Lynch going to throw on the run and finds Anderson. Little underneath pass, and Denver able to move the chains again. They pick up 4.
You can see the movement ability on the rollout by Paxton Lynch. This is something that he's, I think, a good fit for this offense. Was drafted in the first round. Clearly they thought that he had the athletic ability and the movement skills to function within the offense.
So Lynch now 6 of 11, 65 yards. That's a fresh set of downs for Denver. Devontae Booker trying to inch closer to the 45. Well, we've seen Gary Kubiak last season, Salman, deal with a very tense quarterback situation. Peyton Manning kind of broken down, final stage of his career. Brock Osweiler came on. And now some more adversity on the injury front in week 4.
Well, Gary Kubiak knows how to coach around the quarterback position. He even told Trevor Siemian, he says, look, you're on a good team. You don't have to do it all yourself. I'm sure he told Paxton Lynch the same thing at halftime.
Lynch on 2nd and 9. Quick strike and completes to Sanders, who's forced out of bounds, a pickup of 10. And one thing we saw from Kubiak in terms of the play calling first couple of weeks of the season, he didn't ask Siemian to do too much. A lot of underneath throws, a lot of check down options, and you can't imagine he'll ask Lynch to go over the top much here in his first action of the season.
Yeah, and you can see him doing the same thing here. A lot of rollouts, a lot of bootlegs, easy throws, play action. You know where to go with the ball, and the coverage easily declares itself.
On 1st and 10, this is Booker. Ducks inside the 35-yard line. Again, Lynch started as a high school player about 100 miles from where we are here in Tampa, in Deltona, Florida. Started Memphis. John Elway saw enough in him to trade up 5 spots to pick him 26th overall. How'd you like him, Salman, in college?
I love what I saw. I saw a strong arm. I saw him throw the ball with accuracy, and I think everyone loved his overall athleticism. Now, he didn't take a lot of those snaps under center like what you see here, and that was the real concern.
He's under center here. Goes play action, pump fakes on 2nd and 3. Looks to be a bit confused. Nowhere to go with the football, so he throws it out of bounds. The nearest receiver was Booker on the play. And it'll be 3rd and short coming up.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a reverse bootleg off that run action, but there was pressure in his face right away. He didn't panic. You could see the footwork, and Thought he remained composed on that play and got rid of it. Now on 3rd and 3, see if they'll run it on that wide zone stretch. Now he's going to go in shotgun, so looks like they're going to prepare to throw the football.
See Denver only 2 of 7 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 3. Bucks giving chase. Lynch able to escape and just throws it out of bounds. And now late flag comes in way down at the Tampa 7-yard line.
Okay. Holding. Defense, number 23. 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
Chris Conti with a back-breaking penalty.
Really tough call. Really tough call. Look at Coach Cutter's not happy with that one. Giving him a new set of downs. That's a huge penalty. It's equivalent to a turnover.
First and 10. The run play called. Anderson breaking free. Still going, able to get close to the 15-yard line. Anderson had that fantastic Week 1 performance in the victory over Carolina. 140 scrimmage yards, a couple of touchdowns. But his production has kind of tapered off since then. Starting to pick up some steam.
Yeah, and how about Paxton Lynch? Has his offense on the move on their very first possession here in the 2nd half. They get the penalty on Conti. And then they come back to the run game to give it to C.J. Anderson. If the Broncos can run the football like they did on that play, they can get out of here with a win.
So 1st and 10 as we move inside of the 10-minute mark. Anderson going nowhere. Tampa Bay has just told us that Gerald McCoy, Noah Spence, and Brandon Myers, their tight end, have all downgraded to out. None of those players will return.
Oh, this Tampa team, they've got to fight. This is a critical possession here. Down inside their own red zone. Their backs up against the wall. They've got to be able to keep the Broncos off the board here. Give Jameis Winston and the offense a chance here in the 2nd half.
Capri Bibbs comes on. First time we've seen him to Denver. Quick pass, quick strike, and a catch. That's Thomas just shy of the 5. They pick up 11 yards, and Lynch marching them down the field as they capitalize on the penalty. 1st down and goal, Denver.
Soft coverage by Hargraves. And that's an easy throw. Just an easy read for Paxton Lynch. In my mind, defensively, Mike Smith's now he's going to have to come after Paxton Lynch. Make him uncomfortable. He's a rookie quarterback playing in his very first NFL game here on the road. Got to be able to apply some pressure and not give him easy throws.
1st and goal. Anderson taking on tacklers. And one thing we've seen, at least through the first 3+ weeks of the season, the back end of this Tampa Bay defense, we know the entire unit has struggled, but the secondary really has been ragged.
Yeah, they've given up a lot of plays, a lot of big plays. As we said, opposing teams have scored 35 or more points in their last 2 games. And it is a young defense, and they're only playing in their 4th game in this new system under their coordinator, Mike Smith.
Most points allowed by a Bucks defense through the first 3 games of the season ever. Can they hold here on 2nd and goal? Anderson trying to find Daylight, going backwards. Loss of 3 on the play, and now Golston looks to be slow to get to his feet.
King Spence, 97. He's in on the action. Being able to set that edge is so very important. There you see Golston. He was able to set the edge, turned back C.J. Anderson. 3rd and goal. Do you allow him to throw it, take a shot, if you get a one-on-one look against one of your talented receivers? Even the tight ends have been emerging. Or do you allow the running game to try to crack the goal line?
Golston limps to the sideline, so the rookie Channing Ward has to come in. This is suddenly a very thin defensive line for Tampa Bay. Keep in mind, no Robert Ayers, out with an ankle. They already lost Jaquez Smith to that ACL in Week 1. And now Gerald McCoy and Noah Spence both done for the afternoon. 3rd and goal. Lynch going end zone. It is caught, but he's out of bounds. Caught by Latimer. Former 2nd-round pick out of Indiana. Vernon Hargraves, a rookie 11th overall pick, was there.
Good coverage. They're going after the rookie cornerback, but this ball's thrown out of bounds. Never had a shot. You get the one-on-one look, and that's what Paxton Lynch is going to learn. You got to give Latimer a chance to make the catch in bounds.
So Denver, aided by the penalty, kept the drive alive, but it stalls inside the 15, and McManus is there to salvage 3 points. 24-yard field goal as Denver tacks on 3, up 13 as we play on CBS. Raymond James Stadium, 13-point Denver lead as we revisit some of the themes we touched on at the top. We talked about Denver's run game, and after a slow start, it started to become a little bit more of a factor on their opening possession of this 3rd quarter. That one goes through the back of the end zone. Smith watches it bounce through. Winston will have it at the 25 when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by the new 2017 Acura MDX Precision Crafted Performance.
Well, Jameis Winston has been banged around today, 10 of 21. He's been sacked multiple times. 2 picks to Aqib Talib, both coming in the first half.
We're good, we're good.
Still within striking distance. Can they take better care of the football here as Sims is going nowhere? First half possessions, Solomon for the Bucks.
Oh yeah, you get the turnovers early in the game, getting off to a bad start. 2 interceptions thrown by Jameis Winston, and then a fumble. So that has really been critical. This offense, they had a few penalties that have also hurt their ability to drive the football down the field, and Dirk Cutter's trying to just get this offense in sync and in rhythm.
Play action from Winston on 2nd and 9. That pass is incomplete. Through the hands of Vincent Jackson, who kind of been an afterthought through the first 3 weeks for Tampa Bay. Had some great years here. Last season, his string of 4 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons ended. But they'll need a lot from Winston, from Jackson rather, as the season goes on.
Absolutely. They'll need him to make plays. They'll need him to win against one-on-one coverage.
See what the Bucks have done on 3rd down today, 3rd and 9. Right at the 26. Winston pump fakes. You saw him lose his footing for a moment, trying to escape, and Winston is wrapped up, going down. Derek Wolfe finally able to bring him to the turf.
Oh, he was going to fight for every second to try to throw that ball. Even though he hadn't been taken down, he was trying to find a receiver to throw to so he wouldn't be called for intentional grounding. See, watch this. He's still looking, and they're draped all over him, and he's still looking to find an eligible receiver. And boy, Wolf nearly took more than a leg there.
Von Miller got a couple of swipes at him as he helped Wolf bring him down finally to the turf. So 20-7 Denver.
Come on, Sam.
Little pitch play here as Norwood the pitch to Latimer, who's still going inside Tampa territory. Finally forced out of bounds. 2 markers thrown behind the play, one at the 34 and another one at the 43 on Denver side of the field. It's a 20-yard return after the 44-yard punt by Anger.
During the return, holding, receiving team, number 36. 10-yard penalty. Denver keeps the ball. First down. Timeout on the field.
That's Kayvon Webster. 20-7 Denver on CBS. Several Bucks rookies surprised patients and their families at the Moffitt Cancer Center earlier this week. The Bucks Rookie Club will continue to participate in a variety of outreach activities throughout the year that support active and retired military, inspire underprivileged youth, and promote healthy lifestyles for local children. Nice effort by some of their first-year players. Well, they hope can contribute here with Tampa Bay down 13 points. Spiro Dita, Salman Wilcox, Brian Galvin, our producer, Andy Goldberg, our director, rest of our CBS crew. Raymond James Stadium here in week 4. Lynch with the quick strike finds Sanders as we revisit our themes. Salman from the top of the show.
Well, at the top, we said that the Denver Broncos have to be able to run on the road. Done an adequate job. Was able to score a rushing touchdown in this game. And we said that Tampa needed to avoid the sacks and turnovers, something they have not done. The 2 early interceptions have really hurt the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then they've not been able to protect their quarterback. The turnovers, though, have been a killer.
If you've just joined us, Paxton Lynch, their first-round pick, getting his first NFL regular season experience, came on in relief of Trevor Siemian, who was hurt in the latter stages of the second quarter, a left shoulder injury. Broncos have told us that the plan is to keep Lynch in the game and that, if possible, Siemian could be available to return.
And with that said, I think the Broncos are going to have to improve on those rushing numbers we just showed you. 54 yards rushing is not going to get it. I think you've got to get C.J. Anderson going, Devontae Booker, and not have to put it on the shoulders of Paxton Lynch. But now on 3rd and 4, when he's operated out of the shotgun, he's looked very good.
Broncos only 2 of 8 on 3rd down. Lynch slinging it and finds Sanders. First down on the catch and run, 18 yards as they approach the 50.
Yeah, sure it helps, though. If you're a rookie quarterback playing in your very first game and you have receivers like Emmanuel Sanders, it makes your job a whole lot easier. Sanders said he got tired of looking at all the highlights and people talk about the Broncos defense. And hey, you got to protect the quarterback. And I'm looking at all the receivers around the league making plays. He said, hey, you know, we're not chopped liver here in Denver.
This is Anderson, ducks his way inside Tampa territory. He is just a guy who oozes personality. 117 yards through the air last week for Sanders. A couple of touchdowns, including the 41-yarder from Siemian. What a tandem they have, and he and Thomas.
Yeah, he believes that they can upgrade the quarterback position. He believes they're so reliable and so consistent in terms of their ability, and they crave the football. They'll make plays for any young quarterback.
C.J. Anderson gets a breather. Devontae Booker on the field takes a give from Lynch. Booker, who had a fumble that he lost on his first NFL carry back in week 1 against Carolina. Can you imagine he's joining a championship team? So he's really kind of climbed that psychological hurdle after that early gaffe. So Denver now goes into the playbook on 3rd and 4.
Yeah. But see, they're running the ball good enough to create these 3rd and 4 opportunities. Now you put Lynch in shotgun. Yeah, you can run a draw, but they feel comfortable with him throwing the ball in this situation.
Lynch 10 of 17, just over 100 yards, going to take a shot. Far side of the field, looking in the direction of Emmanuel Sanders. Coverage on the play by Brent Grimes.
Sanders has step on Grimes. Now, it's not a big window to throw it into, but drop it in over the shoulder. He's going to bring this one in. Yeah, it's overthrown by just a hair. Lynch has got to be able to give him a chance to make a play on that when he knows it.
5th punt by the rookie Riley Dixon, the 7th-round pick out of Syracuse. We'll try to pin them back on their side of the field, and it is caught. Excellent coverage down the field by Denver. Webster with another special teams gem for Gary Kubiak. That's Joe Hawley, Tampa Bay center, one of the great beards in sports. Got us to thinking about some of the other top beards around professional sports. I still have to go with Dan Fauci. As Sims able to cross the 10. Dan's been working on that beard a long time, but now can Hawley kind of pave the way, Solomon, for this Tampa Bay ground game that has been halted till this point? Not much to talk about Sims only 24 yards, and Jaquiz Rogers 20 yards right behind him.
Yeah, they have to be able to power the run game and give themselves some balance and play action pass opportunities. Jameis Winston's going to have to get this offense cranked up. They've been very good when they're moving very rapidly off the line of scrimmage.
This is 2nd and 6. Sims, who left the game briefly in the first half, trying to find some daylight. Brandon Marshall was there, so now Jameis Winston, who's just one of his last 5 pass attempts for only 6 yards. Solomon somehow trying to jumpstart this offense that just seems dead at the moment. It'll be 3rd and 2.
Oh, they want to do it with the run game, but you know, Sims is not hitting the line of scrimmage, not hitting the hole. As you take a look at Doug Martin out with that hamstring injury, Sims is going to have to attack the line of scrimmage running more aggressively.
Saw Doug Martin on that Tampa Bay sideline. 3rd and 2. Winston steps up and sacked. Derek Wolfe again. 3rd sack of Winston today.
Oh, he held the ball too long. I think he wanted to go over to the left. Now watch, he's going to come in right there, and that's where he's looking. Over to his left, the ball's got to come out. Ball had to come out much faster. You hold on to it, bad things tend to happen. This is one mean pass rush for the Denver Broncos.
Winston really struggling. He's not completed more than 2 passes consecutively in this game, and he's attempted now 22 passes till this point. Through those early picks, and just has not been able to clear that hurdle since. 20-7 Denver, late 3rd. Now we know about Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, the 2 wide receiving threats, and they have been on point today again for the Broncos.
Hero, they both have been there no matter who's playing quarterback, whether it's Simeon and now Paxton Lynch, the rookie. They're reliable and they're making plays, whether they're in traffic or getting open. Look at them, both 5 or more receptions in this game. Thomas has been able to get into the end zone, and if Paxton Lynch would have gotten the ball over the top to Sanders, maybe he would have him a touchdown. But I think you've got to continue to allow them to help the offense. Sooner or later, you got to double cover one of those guys, and gives you room to run the football.
So here's Paxton Lynch, 10 of 18, 104 yards since coming on in relief of Trevor Siemian late 2nd quarter. Play action here on 1st and 10. Kubiak lets him take a shot. Intended for Sanders. And 1 second left in the 3rd quarter. Grimes again on the coverage.
Strong play action. What that does for a young quarterback, the coverage declares itself right away. Now, he saw a defender on top in Brent Grimes, had a defender underneath. That's why he overthrew it. He didn't want to put that ball in harm's way. You can see that strong arm of Paxton Lynch.
One play called. Anderson is wrapped up in the backfield. And with that, end of the 3rd in Tampa Bay. We'll return after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. A Brandon McManus field goal, the lone scoring in the 3rd quarter, as we welcome you to Tampa, start of the 4th. Denver in that quarter, 91 yards of total offense. Solomon, Tampa had -4.
And now Denver goes into the 4th quarter where they've outscored their opponents by 32 points in the 4th quarter in their first 3 games. So this is where they normally begin to heat it up. That's bad news for the Buccaneers.
This is usually the point where Trevor Siemian had been lights out. But the Siemian, as you saw right now, a bystander dealing with that left shoulder injury. So Lynch on 3rd and 11 trying to find Demaryius Thomas, and Grimes once again was with him step for step.
Oh, Lynch almost paid for this one. Watch the break by Grimes. He stuttered, stepped just one moment of hesitation, or he would have had himself an interception, but it was great anticipation and a good break on the ball to keep Thomas from making the catch.
A couple of Pro Bowlers going at it there. Thomas, 7 catches, 83 yards if you've just joined us. There's Riley Dixon, who's suddenly become a busy man on to punt yet again. Humphreys back deep, going to play it from right around his own 5. Makes a couple of guys miss, crosses the 15, and is brought down at the 16-yard line. 54 yards on the punt and 11 on the return by Humphreys. Tonight, the remarkable story of the woman who fought off her terrorist kidnappers and won, plus who's in control of the trillions of dollars worth of natural resources in the Arctic. 60 Minutes travels to the top of the world to find out. Tonight, only CBS. Well, this is the total yards by quarter. As we just mentioned, some of the issues that Tampa Bay has had. They had a pretty good start, but boy, their offense has gone south.
Yeah, and Jameis Winston's got to do a better job of just getting the ball out and improving his tempo and timing in the passing game.
Carter lines up Charles Sims in the slot towards the bottom of your picture here on 1st and 10. Winston feeling the pressure, completes. This is Sims. And that could be a horse collar tackle.
Yep.
As Davis got him from the back. Multiple flags come in. And it was a pickup of 9.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, horse collar tackle, defense, number 51. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Spirit's about player safety, and that's why they've outlawed this kind of play, because you usually yank that player down and then you fall on the back of their legs. See, just like that can cause severe injury to the lower legs. We saw one on Russell Wilson a week ago.
That's right.
Injuring his knee.
Cameron Brate in motion, 1st and 10 after the penalty. Winston, as they set up a little screen to Evans. But pick up only a yard. Tackled on the play by Chris Harris. And Evans has been bottled up by that Broncos secondary that has been so dominant over the last couple of years.
Good corners. You know, we talk about Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib, and don't forget about Bradley Rope.
2nd and 9. Winston flushed out of the pocket. Under pressure again. Contact and pressure applied by Derek Wolfe, who's putting himself together a very nice afternoon.
Winston's under constant pressure. You talked about Wolfe. See right here, the ball's got to come out, because see, when Brate turns it up the field right there, just throw it. But he tried to get it out, but Wolfe is draped around the ankles of Winston, and it's hard to keep that ball on target and be accurate throwing it down the field when you're under extreme pressure.
This has been a theme. Winston under pressure all 4 games this season. 3rd and 9. Reverse spin to get away from the pressure. He eludes a second defender. Throws, and it's incomplete. Mike Evans screaming for a penalty, but once again blanketed by that secondary.
Well, you want to get it to Mike Evans, but look, there's no time. See, look, pressure. He's busy running for his life. You say, well, how come Jameis hadn't thrown it? He's busy trying to elude Jared Crick and other defenders. There's Von Miller. By the time you reset and reload to throw it, it's too late. The receiver is no longer open.
4th consecutive punt for Tampa Bay. Anger boots it from his own 30. And Tampa Bay unable to get the bounce they wanted as it goes through the back of the end zone. 61 yards in the punt, 20-7 Broncos. Reminder coming up after the game, time permitting, the Subway postgame show from New York. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by. Get you caught up around the NFL. All next on the Subway postgame show. Second half possessions for Denver. No Trevor Siemian. He's been on that Broncos sideline since late in the 2nd quarter. Left shoulder injury, so Paxton Lynch, their 1st-round pick, making plays happen. Demaryius Thomas with a catch and run. Finally forced out of bounds after a 31-yard pass play. Darryl Smith finally got to him.
Easy to find Thomas. Watch Grimes. He's going to slip and fall on this one. And receivers who can win at the top of the route, as Thomas does there, creating separation, getting open, make it easy for Paxton Lynch to find him down the field and provide for an easy completion.
Thomas now over 90 yards receiving for a 3rd consecutive game. That his first 100-yard game last week in Cincinnati. Big play here to set up a 1st and 10. Lynch taking another shot down the field. Flag comes in. It was Thomas and Grimes get tangled up.
Now this one's tough because Grimes was stacked on top of him.
Pass interference. Offense.
Yeah.
Number 88. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
This is what we call offensive pass interference. Remember, it's the receiver's job to avoid contact. See, He's grabbing that Brent Grimes, and I think that was a good call. The receiver cannot initiate contact once they're more than 5 yards down the field. Clearly, that was Thomas initiating contact, trying to get around Grimes to get to the ball.
Well, Thomas is so big, it's barely a fair fight as is. Can't let him grab the defender like that. Officials all over it. As they will mark it back at the Denver 41, and it'll be 1st and 20, where Thomas getting the breather. There's Paxton Lynch, the 26th overall pick in the NFL draft, from the gun where he's so comfortable. Hands off to Booker, who picks up 3 to set up 2nd down coming up, and under 13 minutes remaining.
Devontae Booker, promising young running back out of Utah. They took him in the 4th round. Remember, Ronnie Hillman had been one of those running backs that teamed up with C.J. Anderson. They released Hillman because they thought Booker would be such an addition to their backfield going along with C.J. Anderson.
Stays on the field here on 2nd and 17. Lynch completes into Tampa Bay territory. It's Jordan Norwood. 21 yards on the catch and run. Finally brought down at the Bucs 35.
I'm impressed with the composure of Paxton Lynch. Watch him. I mean, he's reading this defense. He's cutting it loose, throwing the ball with good accuracy. That was good ball placement, allowing Norwood to catch and run and create the 1st down. But he's got a good feel for the zone, and he can see the field very well at 6'7". He's reading the zone coverage of the Buccaneers. Excellent.
On 1st and 10, quick strike on the side of the field. Beautiful reverse spin by Jordan Taylor, putting some of his skills on display. Taylor down close to the 25, picks up 9, showing some resourcefulness. And Winston helplessly looking on.
Yeah, you wonder if these Buccaneers are going to put up a fight. Take a look at the quarterback comparison. I mean, Paxton Lynch has come on, and his production has been better than that of Jameis Winston. Remember, we were comparing the 2 quarterbacks taken in the 2015 draft. Winston taken 1st overall, Simeon, the last quarterback taken 1 year ago.
Sanders in motion. This is 2nd and 1. This is Bibbs, and that will be enough for a Denver 1st down. Now, John Elway certainly liked what he saw in Lynch. They trade up to take him 26th overall, and the plan was to bring Mark Sanchez in initially. He doesn't make the team. He's, of course, moved on and give the reins to Trevor Siemian. Now Paxton Lynch has to be making John Elway feel very good about his decision. 12, make it 13 to 23 for a $165. As the pitch here to Bibbs, finding the edge, finally brought down just short of that 1st down marker. A burst of 9 for Denver.
Excellent blocking out in front. Russell Okung, the left tackle. Look at 73. Watch this block here. That's creating a convoy. And then Okung's like, you mean you tripped over me? I'm the guy throwing the block for you, paving a way. You can't trip over your offensive tackle.
Okung has been so good for Denver since coming over in free agency. One of their big offseason acquisitions. 2nd and short. Another run play called by Kubiak. Bibbs trying to get close to the 10. It's Denver trying to put this game away now, Salmon, with under 10 minutes left.
And we said off the top that these 2 teams kind of surprised us to start the season. There were lofty expectations for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers entering this season. And now they're trying to avoid their 5th consecutive home loss. And so you wonder if this Buccaneers team here at home is going to put up a fight. Because right now, the Denver Broncos are playing with a backup quarterback who's a rookie.
Looks like Levante David, the injured Buck, the stud linebacker, as the training staff comes onto the field. You see some of those menacing clouds in the background. Bucks had their game here suspended for about an hour and 10 minutes late last Sunday night against the Rams, with lightning showers coming into play. Here on 1st and 10, this is Booker inching a little bit closer to the end zone. A pickup of 7 for the Broncos.
No Gerald McCoy. He's out due to that calf injury. Remember, we talked to him about Aqib Talib The one thing he mentioned was Aqib Talib kind of infused the entire locker room with a certain energy that allowed players to really compete. He said he's the kind of guy that holds you accountable. Well, right now the Buccaneers are missing that kind of presence because they need to put up a fight. Still plenty of football left to be played.
2nd and 3. They need the 2 for the first down. Lynch throwing on the run. End zone to Sanders. Wide open for the Denver touchdown. And now a flag is thrown in the back corner of the end zone. Likely to be an excessive celebration penalty against the Broncos. But another long and impressive drive orchestrated by Paxton Lynch.
Well, when receivers are getting wide
there is
open.
no foul for excessive celebration. The receiver did not go to the ground. Touchdown.
Yeah, receivers are getting open. This is going to be Brent Grimes. Now, he's working against Emmanuel Sanders. He's going to slip and fall, but nice route, nice cut as he gets separation from Grimes, who slips and falls down. Emmanuel Sanders is something else. Excellent route run.
First career touchdown pass for Paxton Lynch on in relief of the injured Trevor Siemian, and McManus's point after is good. Pretty good security blanket when you've got Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas as Lynch marches them 80 yards. All Denver and Tampa Bay. Emmanuel Sanders all smiles on that Denver sideline. 3rd touchdown catch of the season, 29th of his career, as Paxton Lynch enjoying his first career touchdown toss.
Well, we told you these receivers are very talented. They'll get open. It really does make it an easy throw for Paxton Lynch.
Just under the 9-minute mark left. Do the Bucs have one final gasp left here at Raymond James Stadium? Coming up Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Cardinals tackle the Niners. Thursday Night Football, CBS, NFL Network, and streaming live on Twitter. Well, if you've just joined us, as a reminder, Arizona right now up in front of the Rams. And San Francisco, who was up on Dallas early in that game, trailing at last check. So we look forward to that coming up on Thursday night. But getting back to Tampa Bay, saw them in a grand total of 6 total yards in the second half.
Wow.
1st and 10. This is Winston off the seam. Evans wide open. Rare opening in the back end of that Denver secondary. Stewart eventually on the tackle. 25 yards and a first down.
Yeah, you see he and Chris Harris Jr., they got switched up. He and Brantley Roby. Combination route to that side. Both corners sat and allowed Evans to get open down the field.
Flag comes in. Could be a free play. This is Evans stumbling to the Denver 43-yard line. A pickup of 8. We'll get the call here.
Illegal shift. Offense, number 11. 5-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
It's on Adam Humphries.
Costly penalties. Coach Cutter's offense. We saw it in the first half. Offense kind of got some rhythm. They were moving, and then penalties on the offensive line aborted what looked to be a promising drive.
1st and 15. The late handoff to Rodgers as he gets to the 50, a pickup of 5. Reminder coming up after the game, time permitting, we'll have the Subway postgame show. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by in New York on the Subway postgame show. 2nd and 10. Winston from the gun, throwing a dart near side of the field to Humphries, who makes the catch. So 3rd down coming up, and once again, Solomon, I know they tried to commit to the run game, just didn't have much success in terms of production, as an injured Buck now will be 10-2. And they just never had much of a chance against this Denver defense.
No, because they were forced to try to convert on 3rd and longs. The offensive line didn't provide adequate protection for Jameis Winston. And when they did have time, there were times when he forced the ball into coverage, and Aqib Talib made him pay for it with 2 first-half interceptions.
That is their center, Joe Hawley. Told you earlier, had to leave the game briefly last week in the fourth quarter with an ankle injury. Missed some time in practice this week. Jameis Winston told us about just how feisty he is. Says he acts like a left tackle instead of a center, always trying to mix it up with the defense. And so Hawley will try to catch his breath as now Evan Smith will come on at center.
Play, third down play. They've got to get something going on offense. Combination routes to the top is what really has worked for this offense.
3rd and 6. Winston over the middle and incomplete. Intended for Braith, the tight end. And it will be 4th and 6. And those ominous storm clouds now are really starting to move atop Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, they saw this 1 week ago, didn't they?
And you can hear the boos as Dirk Cutter elects to send out his punter, Brian Anger. How about this decision?
I would have liked to see him go for it on 4th down. 4th and 6. I'd like to see him go for it and keep swinging, keep playing and competing.
Not hard to understand why you're hearing the boos here. This is a Bucs team that is 3-15 in their last 18 home games here in Tampa Bay. 36 yards in the punt, 27-7 Denver on CBS. Back with you from Raymond James Stadium. You can see the storm clouds overhead. Again, their game last week was held up for about an hour and 10 minutes due to lightning. And 5-point loss to the LA Rams. And hopefully the weather holds off here, but it certainly doesn't look good. As Paxton Lynch brings his offense back onto the field. This is Devontae Booker. Crosses the 10 and brought down by Clinton McDonald after a minimal pickup to set up a 2nd and 9.
Well, you get the sense the Denver Broncos now want to just run the football, eat clock, and get out of here. This is a team that's built to run the football. I know they came in ranked 14th in the NFL, averaging over 110 yards rushing per game.
Here's Jerome Boger.
There is an imminent severe weather storm close to the area. The game is being suspended temporarily to see what happens with the storm.
All right, deja vu for these fans at Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, and just as he said it, I saw on the horizon a little crack of lightning.
So this game will be halted here at the 6:52 mark of the fourth quarter. The delay last week lasted exactly 69 minutes. That game was a little bit closer than this one, as Denver will take a comfortable 20-point lead back into their locker room.
It's all for the safety of everyone. The fans in the stadium and the players and coaches down on the field.
Well, this has been a one-sided affair if you've just joined us. Trevor Siemian started the game for the Broncos, was hurt, a left shoulder injury. Paxton Lynch coming on, and Denver really hasn't skipped a beat. We saw Gary Kubiak getting the explanation from the officials. As we head into a weather delay here in Tampa Bay, 27-7, the Broncos in front.
This is not what we expected. We didn't expect this kind of score. We expected Tampa Bay Buccaneers to defend their home turf more competitively. And yeah, I don't know, Spiro, can you read that? I was told the green is water, because that's rain, light rain, and then the yellow means a little more heavier rain, and then red's bad rain. I mean, lots of it.
That's about all I got for you. Red is bad when it comes to meteorology. But an imminent threat of weather and a threat of lightning, we've been told here. So both teams will retreat to their respective locker rooms. And we asked Dirk Cutter just how kind of difficult that delay was last week for both teams. Of course, for Tampa Bay and for the Rams as well. You know, you're out here in the muggy humidity. You go into the air-conditioned locker room for over an hour. And then suddenly you got to come back out. And they were entrenched in a game that was still yet to be decided at that point. But here it was, Buccaneers-Rams. It was a 5-point game with 2 minutes left when the teams were sent back into the locker room.
Ooh.
And then they had to come out after a 69-minute delay and get lathered up in a hurry. Jameis Winston was able to bring his troops onto the field, but their last-ditch attempt to win it came up short as they fell to the Rams 37-32.
Yeah, it cooled off a Tampa Bay's offense that really had been red hot. They were storming back in that game 1 week ago against the Rams. You talk to many of the players, they felt like they had the Rams on the run because they were going up tempo with the offense. The heat and humidity had worn them down. They were storming back, and then they had the rain delay. They felt like the Rams were able to rest and recover during that hour and 10-minute delay. The Rams end up holding on to win it. So much of the NFL and so much of playing football is about momentum, Spiro, and in these lulls in a more competitive game, you know, both teams have to be able to handle it and have to be able to turn it into their advantage.
All right, so we'll hang out for a little bit. We will be here when play resumes. But in the meantime, we will send you to New York. Rarely get a delay due to inclement weather. It's now happened here in Tampa in successive weeks. And this is a tough set of circumstances for the players.
There's no doubt about it. I think it's incumbent upon the players to be able to reshift their focus, to get back to business and make sure that you can finish off this game. And if you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you look up 6 minutes on the clock, you're down by 20. You're going to do whatever you can to try to fight your way back into this game and hope that the Denver Broncos will give you an opportunity by relaxing a little bit. Maybe you can get back in it.
Well, this is what has happened. Trevor Siemian, Broncos starting quarterback, who had been such a Cinderella story over the first 3 weeks, left late in the first half with the shoulder injury. His replacement, Paxton Lynch, their first round pick, I should say, came in and performed very, very well. 14 of 24 for a $170. First career touchdown pass of his brief career. And it has been all smiles on that Denver sideline right from the start. So here we go, 2nd and 9. We pick it up from the Denver 12 with Lynch under center. This is C.J. Anderson showing some nice burst up the sideline out past the 30 and a 22-yard run. There is a flag thrown behind the line of scrimmage way back at the Denver 9. It was Chris Conti who eventually made the tackle. And you could see the rain coming down hard here in Tampa Bay.
Was coming down in sheets, and talk about players being able to shift their focus back onto the game. C.J. Anderson has come out ready. What a run.
When the players came back on the field, as we get the call here from Jerome Boger.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal shift, offense, number 11. He never got set. By rule, that penalty is declined. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 23, with a horse collar tackle. By rule, the 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
So the horse collar on Chris Conti at the end of the play.
Yeah, you can see that left hand go right into that collar area on C.J. Anderson. Now, Anderson had applied a stiff arm to Conti. If Conti doesn't grab him, looks like C.J.'s going to run a long way for a touchdown had he been able to break that tackle. But this is the rain as we stand right now. It was raining even harder during the delay.
There's only a few thousand fans here, most of which are Broncos fans. When the players trotted out about 20 minutes ago, this had the feel of a high school scrimmage. And to give those fans all kinds of credit, braving the weather. And those Broncos fans certainly had a lot to cheer about. 1st and 10. This is C.J. Anderson again. Broncos running game was quiet. It was struggle for most of the first half, but Anderson has started to pick up some steam, or at least he was before the delay.
Well, this is how you do it. When you can get the early lead and you want to eat as much clock as possible, you just stick the ball in the belly of your running back and allow him to chew up yards, eat time off the clock, and try to get out of here with a win.
Broncos looking to get to 4-0. for what would be the 9th time in their history. What a start that would be under Gary Kubiak. As the defending champions leading the Bucks by 20. On 2nd and 9, this is Anderson again. You see that field now really starting to get chewed up. Quan Alexander on the tackle. A pickup of 4. And you have to think the play calling will remain conservative here for Kubiak in that offense.
Yeah, and the footing is nothing like what it had been before the delay. I'm sure the players are trying to adjust. If you're the visiting team, I don't know if you bring extra shoes or try to make changes, but this field took on a lot of water doing a rain delay that was well over an hour.
We asked Dirk Cutter about the challenges that they had last week during that long delay here against the Rams, and we talked about being out in the humidity as Lynch hands off to Anderson. Then you go into the locker room, into the air conditioning for over an hour. And we saw one of the Tampa Bay defenders actually cramp up during warm-ups and was escorted into the locker room. Didn't get an official word on who he was, as we were kind of blocked from his jersey number, but that's just some of the challenges that both of these coaches and training staffs are contending with during a rain delay that lasted nearly 90 minutes.
Yeah, tough to keep your players loose and in shape in terms of, keeping them warm to come back out and hit the ground running. The number of things you can do. Maybe you walk on a treadmill. Maybe you get the stationary bike, start pedaling away. But I don't know if you have enough of those to accommodate every single player.
You never experienced anything like this, right, as a player?
What was that?
You never experienced any kind of delay or?
Not of this nature, no.
Riley Dixon on the punt, and Humphreys will watch it take a Denver bounce inside the Tampa Bay 20. Well, the Bucks are one of the teams trying to stay cutting edge in terms of player health and safety. They have 3 gigantic cryo saunas, they call them, where they've got nitrogen gas that dip the temperatures to within 250 to 280 degrees. Gerald McCoy, one of the guys who has been taking advantage of those, and even we hopped in. This was the highlight of our season by far.
You can tell I'm cold.
Even fully clothed, yeah. we could feel it, but players said it helps with information. There's something, Solomon, you wish you and your players had back in your day, right?
Oh, the science today.
Amazing. 1st and 10. That pass from Winston is caught by the tight end Cameron Bray. 18 yards, and this kid Bray developing into a pretty reliable target for Jameis Winston.
Well, his coach, John Embry, really hard on the tight ends, making sure that they hold up their end of the deal, and Bray has really developed.
On 1st and 10, Winston's pass is incomplete, trying to go right back to Bray. Solomon, how disappointing were you in what you saw from Winston?
Well, it was disappointing, but let's keep in mind, he did make some bad throws, bad decisions, but he has been under duress almost all evening from the likes of Von Miller, Shane Ray, and that Denver Broncos defense. Boy, he's been on the run. He has not had significant time to be able to survey the field and make the kind of plays he's accustomed to.
Now those 2 early interceptions as he goes underneath on 2nd and 10. Right over the middle of the field to Jaquiz Rodgers, who pick up 4 yards as we take another look.
And there has been times also, Spiro, where I thought he made a poor decision early, trying to force the ball into coverage, and of course he was intercepted.
2 picks by Aqib Talib. Here he is on 3rd and 6. Off-balance throw, and able to find Mike Evans inside Denver territory. 11 yards for the Bucks, tackled by Bradley Roby.
Look at Winston. Oh, that's the one thing you like about Jameis. Such a leader. He's a competitor. He's still out here trying to make some plays to get into the end zone.
Winston on 1st and 10, quick strike, and that pass is incomplete. Again, looking in the direction of Evans. And the coverage applied by Roby.
Ball heavy. It's wet. There you see Roby couldn't haul it in. He's going to return that one for a touchdown if he can catch it.
Roby has seen extensive snaps in this game. We saw Chris Harris come off before the delay. With so much depth for Wade Phillips in that Denver defense on the back end. 2nd and 10. Winston's going to tuck it away and run it. And he'll slide to the 40. You see the moisture on the field taking Winston about 3 yards. As they'll give him 5 there, and then he'll set up a 3rd and 5.
Talk about this field taking on a lot of water. Look at that. It's like a slip and slide. You had one of those.
Oh, of course.
In the backyard, right?
Lots of action on the slip and slide in the summers in Jersey.
Fight everyone over.
Here's Winston, 3rd and 5. Going through his progressions, and that pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage. Officials will rule it incomplete. Billy Wynn, the man who got a hand on it. Now late marker comes in on the Denver defensive side of the football.
While the quarterback was in the pocket. Illegal contact. Defense, number 43. 5-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
That's on T.J. Ward. They're all pro safety.
Gives Winston new life. Jameis is moving around, trying to buy more time, but you know, I think you can continue to see even. Don't see Von Miller out on the field, but this defense, they continue to come after the quarterback.
Here's Winston on 1st and 10. Broncos coming and get to him again.
Guess who, right?
4th sack for Denver. Von Miller and Derek Wolfe. And they just keep on coming.
Von Miller, he was a pleasure to meet with last night. After winning a Super Bowl MVP, still putting in work. Came in shape and ready to play to contribute to defending a championship.
Back with you in Tampa Bay. Final 2 minutes between the Broncos and the Buccaneers. It has been all Denver as the defending champs up 27-7. We will resume our CBS primetime programming upon the conclusion of this game as we gear up for the final 2 minutes here at Raymond James Stadium. Spiro Ditas, Salman Wilcots, rest of our CBS crew. As Winston unable to corral that snap and will wisely just fall on the football. Winston didn't appreciate the level of contact by Shaquille Barrett at the end of the play.
Look at the hit. There's punishment coming. Got to lay off the head of the quarterback. See Ward's trying to avoid him. But Barrett gets himself a sack on that play.
He'll take it.
He sure will. And Von Miller's going to call it a night.
This is the pressure that Winston has been facing all afternoon. You certainly expected it against this playmaking Broncos defense. As Tampa Bay will use a timeout. Apparently they want to go to their deep 3rd and 30 play sheet here. So this has to be frustrating. You see all the Broncos fans that are still in attendance. Broncos will go to 4-0. They will be home next week for Atlanta. And Dirk Cutter and the Bucs, meantime, Solomon, back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and as you take a look at Von Miller, it was a pleasure meeting with him. Just in terms of his focus this offseason, he did so much after winning a Super Bowl, but he came in shape, and he really just talked about wanting to make this a better football team, and their team unity is intact. That's what allows them to play at a high level.
Winston, nowhere to throw, and they'll get to him again. And that's the perfect exclamation point for this Denver defense, is now players pushing after the whistle. It was actually a skirmish during the warm-ups before the game resumed. His temp was obviously starting to flare on Tampa Bay's side of the field. 6th sack of Winston today. It was Jared Crick and Shaquille Barrett getting to Winston.
I'm sure if you're the Bucs, you get tired of people hitting on your quarterback. Here's Winston here on the drop back. He's been eluding defenders all night, Spiro. There you can see Crick jumping on the back, getting him a piece of that sack. But that's what the offensive linemen don't like. It's just, you know, they've seen this all day.
Winston has been running for his life without a doubt, as Tampa Bay uses its final timeout, and they will run a play here on 4th down and 43. They need the Broncos 27 for the first down. Winston putting some air under it, and it falls incomplete. So $1:36 to play. It was Mike Evans, the intended receiver, and Will Parks, the rookie safety out of Arizona, on the coverage. We mentioned the upcoming schedule. This is what the Broncos have in front of them. Go home for Atlanta. As the Falcons a winner today, they are atop the NFC South. The Broncos beginning a stretch today where they have some winnable games, especially as they go towards the rest of the season through December.
8 of their next 10 games are against opponents who are 500 or worse currently. So yeah, you expect them, not that they'll run the table. You know, in the NFL, every week's a dogfight for the most part. But Gary Kubiak has done a wonderful job of preparing his team. Talked about the offseason in terms of how they trained some of the veteran players. He had a program for them, and then the younger players had a more aggressive program for the guys who really needed it. He said we weren't going to put, you know, guys like Aqib Talib and some of the veterans through the paces that we would our younger players. And I thought it was very smart. He divided up the work for guys who have the experience and don't need to go through some of the tedious moments of off-season training.
The officials have to be careful here as they try to maintain order. This one could get ugly in a hurry. You see the clock continuing to run, 42 seconds to play. So Denver will go to 4-0. Tampa Bay, meantime, will fall to 1-3 and just 3-16 in their last 19 home games.
And that's it. They've got to start to win at home. You're trying to turn around a culture, and Coach Dirk Cutter talked about it. Developing the winning culture, it starts with winning your home games.
Well, Paxton Lynch is going to walk off the field a winner. And his first experience as an NFL regular season quarterback came on for Trevor Siemian, who left with that left shoulder injury at the end of the first half. As the defending champion Denver Broncos remain perfect. Off to a 4-0 start for the 9th time in their franchise history. 27-7 the final score, as we will send you back to the conclusion of 60 minutes. That'll be followed by a new episode of NCIS Los Angeles, plus the season premiere of Madam Secretary and Elementary. So for Solomon, this is Spiro. Good night from Tampa Bay.